This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Diagnosing the Aftermarket A to Z. I'm Matt Fonslow, and I have the distinct honor of having a good friend of mine on. I'm not sure you've heard of him. He's kind of obscure. Sure. He's one of those really relative unknowns. I'd like to help get his name out there. No BS. I'm not joking around here. He is one of the best things that have ever happened to this profession. But as good as he is at what he does for us, as a human being, I kid you not, as a human being, he is so much more, so much better. I mean, I wish I could say stuff like this without sounding, corny or like I'm blowing smoke up your tail. I'm not. I mean every word of it. Please welcome Paul Danner.
What an introduction. Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate it, man. Grateful for the community, the automotive community, and the way that I have been embraced. Just very grateful to be able to help others. Really, that's what it started with. And I'm glad to be here with you.
I got that on tape now. So that's
no, for real. I mean, you and I go back a long way, like way before. I mean, really back to the IAtn days.
Yeah, I only knew you as Paul D, though.
Yes, yeah. Paul D from Dash PA, I think.
Yep.
I wasn't Scanner Danner back then anyway.
No,
I was still working on my classroom. And were you in that one chat when we had this debate on what actually created the pressure on top of the cylinders?
I probably started it. And I don't mean that bragging. I'm not. I put it in there once because I really wanted to know. And I thought I knew the answer. And I was wrong. I was way wrong. But I think that night, Burnclaw was in there, Randy Burnclaw, Jim Kemper, Matt Ragsdale, yourself, Harvey Chan. I'm almost positive John Riggle was in there.
I just remember it was Riggle that ran the chats, and then he turned it over when it was done to the rest of us. And I'm pretty sure you were there. I remember that period of time vividly.
Yeah, we were
realizing, wow. I really don't know what I think I know.
Yeah, it started out in there, and then I put it on, I think one of the forums, I think it was the Technical Theory Forum. And then that exploded with, is it Robert Schrader of Bridge Analyzers? You had Keith Lawyer, who is a genius.
But you were there. I mean, that's my earliest memory of you. I think I connected the dots years later, maybe when I got connected back with you, maybe at the CAN conference in Chicago. One of those times, I know you're real good friends with the crew at AES Wave, and those guys have been just like family to me too. And so we got kind of reconnected that way. And I just remembered your name.
IAtn chat, man, that's late 90s, early 2000s.
I was going to say early 2000s because I started teaching at the Rosedale Technical College in September of 2000. And I remember I was teaching at the time when I was talking with you guys, and I, kind of thought I knew what I was doing. And then I get on this international automotive technician network and I find out that I don't know anything.
That was a harsh lesson, right?
Yeah. That's what this field does, though. It's like the more you learn, you don't know. And that's what it has always felt like to me.
Finally figure out how to open that one door, door of knowledge. God darn it, there's 3 more doors behind that door. And then you open those and there's more doors and more doors. And I wanted so much to be able to speak technically about stuff accurately. I wanted to know how stuff works. And I just remember reading stuff, or I guess conversing via messaging on the chat room, stuff by Burnclaw, stuff by Ragsdale, Harvey, that they could speak so specifically about so many things. You'd bring up something about CAT monitoring, catalytic converter monitoring. You would make some sort of a statement, and they could come in and be like, well, that's true on these car lines, but these other ones, that's different. And I so badly wanted to be able to do that. Yeah. In that pursuit, I never got there because it just felt like the more I learned, the less specific I could speak. I had to speak more and more generically. I'd start explaining something, and then you'd be like, well, yeah, but that's not true on this, and that's not true on that. And they don't do this anymore, and they don't do that anymore. And So you're left sitting there speaking very generically.
And that's tough too. And the longer you teach and you're in a classroom, and as you're talking, I'm thinking about, I taught something a certain way for years and years. And then I run into something that I either saw myself or learned from someone else. And I'm like, oh, I've been saying always and never for this particular circumstance. And then you learn, I just probably should stop saying always and never. And just what you said, those terms can't be used in a teaching environment anymore, I swear.
You started out working on cars though, right? Were you kind of a gearhead in high school, or?
No, I was a pothead in high school. Not so much a gearhead. And a lot of people know this story with me. Like I took auto mechanics in high school just to escape high school. Like I had a pretty traumatic childhood, and that was tough in school and books and all that stuff really just didn't do it for me. And, I really took auto mechanics just to escape the high school, and I just thought it would be cool. And, I had an old 77 Dodge Power Wagon that was my first vehicle, and it was the biggest piece of crap, and it needed work. And so, I just figured it'd be good to take auto mechanics and learn some of this stuff. But in high school, it was my own fault. It wasn't the high school that the Votech that I went to. I really didn't do much there either. I just wanted to party and slack off. And honestly, it wasn't till after high school, my older brother went to Rosedale Technical College, where, that's my alma mater now too, and where I teach. And, he learned like more than in 2 months being there, he learned more than I did in 2 years in Votech. But again, my own fault. And I followed there, and, that's really where my career started was with Rosedale, where I am now. So before I started teaching in 2000, so I graduated Rosedale in 93. I was in the field full time for 8 years before I went back to teach. That's kind of where all this began.
You just saw an ad or the website looking for an instructor, or one of the instructors reached out to you, or?
Yeah, one of the instructors reached out to me. His name's Dan Savitko, and I really look up to him still to this day. In fact, I was talking with him earlier today. He's retired and stuff, and he was like a father figure to me, and had a good grasp on electrical and electronic systems on cars, and I was just fascinated by it. But I remember in class and really thinking he's talking about with electronics and electrical systems, and I was fascinated by it. And he's the one that got me on this path, and he's the one I ran into 8 years later when I was in the field. He came into the shop that I was working for. I forget why he was there, but then we ran into each other, and he's like, hey, Rosedale's looking for, an engine performance instructor. And I'm like, well, isn't that the class you teach? And he's like, yeah, I don't really want to teach that class anymore. I just want to do the electrical systems and emissions. And we need to have an EP instructor that can come in and follow up, what I'm teaching them. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That would be amazing. And so, it was him. And then I had to work with, really my mentor for at least the next 12 or 13 years before he retired.
Oh, wow.
So we got to work side together.
That would be pretty.
It was awesome. It was the best thing ever. It was really cool.
Then you took the reins.
Then I took the reins, and I don't know, how deep we want to get into the whole Scanner Danner thing and how that started.
The gist of it is your intent was to upload the stuff so it was easily accessible for your students, having no idea or intent that it would garner attention from professionals, and then it did.
Yeah, so that's the gist of it. Is I didn't set out to be a YouTuber like people do today. That wasn't even a term. When I started shooting videos, it was like Charlie Bit Me and Double Rainbow guy. There wasn't like solid training material on YouTube. There wasn't when I started, and I just used the platform because I knew it was free and my students could access it. So as I was out, troubleshooting at different garages, doing my mobile diagnostic thing, because I needed to make ends meet, while I was teaching. Took a pay cut to teach, and that's pretty typical, unfortunate, but typical. And all of that paved the way to what I'm doing now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and what you're doing is helping educate current professional technicians, educate them, help them get a deeper understanding of processes, or just like theory. But I think a lot of it processes. You do a lot of really good process stuff.
Appreciate that.
Also young people. I think maybe not even young, just people looking to get into the profession. It's no secret, right? We're facing a technician's shortage. And Paul, did you know Napa Auto Care is addressing that? They have they have a free 2-year apprentice program that offers a variety of training to help produce technicians with 3 ASE certifications. Members can learn more by
awesome.
visiting member.napaautocare.com. That was too good a segue to pass up.
Well, to speak on Napa for a second too, bought another Power Wagon. I just came across the 78, like 30 years later, I have another Power Wagon. And those guys, Napa is the only place I get parts in the aftermarket. If I'm using aftermarket, I'm using Napa. And I'm not being paid by Napa to say that. That's just legit. That's what it is.
I was talking to Justin Morgan about this too. I think a lot of shops have nothing but the best intent for young techs when they bring them in, to try to bring them along to become productive, not just for the shop. Like, yeah, it'd be great for them to be producers and, everybody makes money and the owners make money and all that. But also that technician is able to earn themselves a very nice living and, be taken care of through retirement and all that. I think generally the intentions are good.
You're talking about with the Napa program that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think.
Or just in general?
Well, just in general. The apprentice program just kind of helps with the path. Like, I think you get these techs and you want the best for them, but you may not know necessarily what's the best thing to do. And, I know I keep saying it and it might come off sarcastic, and I hope it doesn't. A very popular thing to do and a very good thing to do is to refer them over to your channel, your videos, shops paying for the subscriptions to go to your website and whatnot, and watch your stuff, because I just find the way you go about it resonates with so many different level of techs. Maybe you watch a video and I don't learn anything technical, but I watch a process and I watch how you attack it. I watch when you make mistakes, because I make mistakes and now I get to see somebody else I look up to make mistakes, own the mistake, learn from the mistake, and go on to make a proper diagnosis, and then down the road employ that. And we get to see that. We get to see you employ a lesson learned months ago, years ago.
Yeah. This would be a good time to cue the airbag clip. Cue the airbag clip. What not to do. Like I said, when I first started filming, my intent was, I'm fixing these cars for these garages and I'm teaching these processes, and I like to present that material to my class, and I'll take digital photos and write it in a PowerPoint or whatever, and which became my book ultimately. But then I'm like, years later, I'm like, wow, it'd be awesome to film this process, to be able to show it live when you have an actual problem instead of still captures, and then show the process through it. I always thought that the process was just as important, if not more important than showing the final fix. Of course, we want to have the final fix, but showing the process involved and all the twists and turns, and how you come to a fork in a road, and do we turn left or we turn right, and all of those things I really felt like were really important. And of course, with that type of filming, that's not everyone's cup of tea, because they end up being longer. But with that type of filming, you capture your mistakes too. I just never felt like it was important for me to cut them out, because I wasn't trying to be something or someone, or in the later years, I've been doing this now since 2011 filming, and I hear those voices. Sometimes the voices get to me, and your videos are too long, and you're so long-winded, and those voices resonate. But then I just keep coming back to myself and my roots, which is, I'm not listening to that crowd. I'm not here to entertain you. I really want to teach, and I know that I'm not entertaining everyone, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm just me, and honestly, this is why, Matt, I don't like to watch other YouTube videos and creators, because it taints a little bit in my own mind, in my own heart, like what I want to do. Because I know I could do things better in certain areas. I know I can do things different in certain areas. And sometimes that's a good thing, but I feel like watching other creators is not healthy for me. And so I stay away from it. Maybe it could be positive if I would watch more, because then when I encounter my first problem on something that's been around for, 10 years already, and I'm just seeing it for the first time, I'm not fumbling my way through it as much, and I look better. But I guess I just come back to, I don't care to look better. I'd rather fumble my way through it and be like, yeah, that was dumb, and here's why, and here's the right path. And it makes my videos longer, and I don't know. It's become a monster, Matt. Like, sometimes I don't know what to do.
Say a freight train.
Freight train. It's been a freight train. It is a freight train, yeah. And now my son's on board, and and he's involved too. And so now I have two families I gotta worry about with this thing. So not just me, but also my son and his wife, and now my granddaughter too. So
nice.
I'm a grandpa, but I'm not complaining.
It's like you said, though, it's the freight train sometimes where it just seems like it's out of control and you're getting pulled, right? I got to come over here and be this over here, and I got to be this over there. And sometimes you're left in the middle, just kind of dancing, not sure what to do. At least that's what I do. I don't know. You got it figured out. I don't got nothing figured out.
No, I don't really. Behind the scenes, man, I'm trying. I'm it changes all the time. The dynamics change all the time. And most people probably don't know that. Of course, I'm still at Rosedale Tech, and I was there last week. COVID run through the instructors, and they need substitutes, and so I was subbing last week, and I loved it. I have the day-to-day classes anymore. I'll teach a class on occasion, and then I'm there to substitute. And it's just, I had to do that because I can't keep up. I couldn't keep up with everything. And, I'm here with my wife all the time and talking about, trying to figure out where you are. And, I've been with my wife now for 29 years. Well, we're coming up on our 25th wedding anniversary. And it's probably one of the hardest things that we've ever gone through, which is strange to say. Like, I think just being here as much as I am and trying to figure out balance and all of that has been really, really difficult. And we're still figuring it out. So,
you can jump my case if I'm assuming, and we don't have to go, this doesn't have to go in any specific directions, but it's probably stuff I run into with my wife, family, historically, the difference between being present and having presence. Or being present and present, if that makes sense, where you're physically here, but you're really not here. And not by you, I mean me. I am off in La La Land.
No, you're correct.
In the Matrix.
That's me too. Yeah.
And
I'm in the Matrix constantly. Yeah. It's like every moment of every day, it's like hundreds of questions a day and emails a day that I can spend time on. And I know when I do that, it just increases the overall interest and increases the overall subscription base and customer base when I do that. And so, I find myself over the years, even with my kids, they'll come up and they say, "Hey, Dad," and I'll be like, just a minute. It's kind of, I find myself saying that like all the time. And you're right. I'm home, but I'm engaged with a potential customer, or I'm engaged because I'm trying to help someone fix their car, and not looking at it from a financial standpoint, but knowing that will come anyway. But knowing if I can help this guy, man, it feels good to help people. But then if I'm always saying to my wife and my kids, not right now, there's there to all fathers that if you say not right now to your kid enough, when they get older and they move out and you want time with your kid, you know what their answer is going to be. Not right now. Not right now. Yeah. So in a minute. And so I'm hyper aware of that at this stage of my life. And, one of the most difficult things that I've had to deal with, because like as men, we always want to strive to do best at our jobs. I mean, at least a lot of us do. I want to make sure I'm doing the best that I possibly can. And if I see an area in my job that needs improvement, then I work over there a little bit and improve it. And I've always done that. The thing about this freight train, like you said, I have all these little areas that I can spend time on and make it better. But then to what end? So I have this huge business and it's so successful. And then I'm this lonely, grumpy old man by myself. Like, no, like I have to make conscious decisions to say no to anything Scanner Danner related. At times I do. Helps to have my son, but I still do. It's that crazy work-life balance that you try to strive to figure out. And what is balance? Like, is it necessarily in the middle, or can I be a little more this way or a little bit the other way? Yep. And then if I go too far this way, just, for instance, too far on the family side, well, the family's happy, but now feeling it professionally and maybe income wise or opportunities start dwindling, and that ain't good either. Cause then for sure, and then you go the other way and it's like, okay, well, the bank account's got money in it and I got all these opportunities and choices I can have access to. And yet
the family's not so happy because your 7-year-old tells you when you say, hey, just give me a minute. Oh, what? You mean like 3 hours? It isn't 3 hours. And no, he's actually right. It's pretty close to 3 hours. If I say in a minute, it'll be about 3 hours later. I'll come help you do whatever you needed me to help you do. But now it's your bedtime. So we'll do it tomorrow.
No, I'm with you. And I had a moment, as I just picked up this new truck too, and I've been working on it in my backyard. It's been like a little therapeutic because, I'm away from my computer. I'm away from my phone. And we've shot maybe 3 case studies the day before, and I got Caleb in the editing room. And so, he's good to go for weeks with 3 different case studies, and spending too much time answering questions and keeping everyone happy makes for me not being happy. And being out in my driveway, like working on that power wagon, like with like laying on the ground with like this makeshift tent, it was absolutely awesome. I loved it. But then I'm thinking about things out there, and, my wife's inside and she's handling stuff, and I'm like looking at this beautiful truck, and I'm like, this truck don't mean nothing to me without my wife being in the passenger seat.
Right.
Like she was when she was 18 and I was 19, and cue this picture. I'll send it to you. This is us, sitting in her parents' driveway, leaning against my old power wagon. And that's kind of why I bought this new one. Like, we want to do that again together. I want to do it with her. She's not going to want to do it with me if I'm pushing her away all the time because I'm worried about money and business, just trying to figure it out, Matt.
Yeah, right. That's about all we can do. I'm waiting for the video to come out where you tell us what to do. I got it all figured out, guys.
Have that answer.
It's the golden ratio, and this is the time you spend here. And
well, I know what scripture tells me, and it says if you set your eyes on wealth, it'll make like wings of an eagle and fly off. So I'm aware, and that's not in place in scripture. I think Solomon talked about that. That's the truth. I think that's like that with anyone, and I think it's important that you prepare for the future and you don't live in the now and all that stuff, for sure. And I'm not saying you just throw caution to the wind, because there's other counter verses that talk about the ant and how diligent he is and how he stores for the winter. And so, there's a balance in there too with where your focus needs to be. I think it really just speaks on if that's your only focus.
Yeah.
If your only focus is that, it's going to crush you at some point in time in your life. And then you see, people get divorced and have, third and fourth wives and whatever, and they're just not happy and they're miserable. And sure, they got this big giant yacht, but it's a lonely place, man. I'll take an old, rundown hunting cabin in the woods over the yacht any day.
Unless you like fishing, and then that yacht would start looking really good.
No, wait. No, the cabin's next to a lake, so you fish on the lake. So
there you
go. All right. Yeah. No, my wife's not down with the cabin in the woods. So unless it's on water, but no, she's awesome. We're grandparents now. We're in a new stage of life, and we're trying to figure things out too. And our youngest is 13, oldest is 23, so we still have some time left on that front too at home. But those times are dwindling down too, and before you know it, it's gonna be me and her again. And it's really a time that's dangerous for a lot of couples that have been together for a long time, because it's been the kids for 20, 25 years, and then all of a sudden the kids are gone, and then they look at each other and they don't even know each other anymore, and that's why they separate and get divorced. And I don't want that to happen, and that can happen to anyone. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. It doesn't matter. Like, if you aren't active in working on your relationship, then you're in for some trouble down the road.
The words you said about that, the kids are gone and now it's just us two and we hardly know each other. Those are words that came out of my parents' mouth. And they didn't get divorced. I can't even imagine a world where they're not together. I don't want to either. That was a thing, because right or wrong, it'd probably take us on a whole nother conversation. Not that it wouldn't be worthy of discussion, that the focus for, let's say, 30 years. So from the oldest kid to the youngest, like that 30 years, the focus was the kids.
Yeah.
Everything, every decision, all that was, not that we were put on pedestals by any means. That was not the case, but that's what they had in common. That's decisions involved and all that. And I don't remember my parents dating while we were young or growing up. Like, mom and dad had date night. I don't remember that, they might attend a wedding together. I wonder that, like you're saying, that enough time isn't set aside for the couple.
Yeah.
Like dedicated date nights, that I know there's advice to go out there and date your daughters, have one-on-one time with your sons and all that. What about significant others? Like,
it's important. In fact, Kristen, my wife, she just asked me last week. She's like, hey, because I'm at home and work my schedule. It's kind of super flexible. I can really work any day or time or hour of the week. So I can take a Friday during the day when the kids are at school. And now we have no one at home, that we can make Friday our kind of date day. It doesn't have to be all day, but she was gracious. And last week our date was me driving an hour away to pick up a set of bench seats for my power wagon that were like in Newcastle, an hour away from here. And she was like, let's go for a ride. So that's pretty awesome of her. I think we went to Pamela's. Of course, you cannot, you guys wouldn't know what Pamela's is, but it was pretty famous. Like when Obama visited, he actually ate there here in Pittsburgh. So it's a pretty famous small restaurant. Breakfast is amazing. The potatoes that they serve, best thing I've ever tasted ever. So we went to Pamela's for breakfast and then went and got power wagon seats. So that was date day last week.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Most of our dates go to a movie. go
but at least you're doing that. There's nothing wrong with dinner and a movie. Like you're just one-on-one with your wife, and it's good. It's important. I don't put enough emphasis on it, and I need to. I want my wife, like I said, sitting next to me in my new toy truck. I don't want to be in that truck by myself. Huh. The truck doesn't mean anything to me without her. So, have you seen it? Did you see the pictures I put up on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right.
I mean, I don't want to imply
you might not understand how
closely, but I've been watching it. Yeah.
No, I know. You might not understand how much I love this truck. She understands.
It's no secret we're facing a technician shortage. Napa Auto Care has a solution with the Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program. The program was engineered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and master technician Jake Sorensen of McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself, and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, classroom training videos. Exclusive to the apprentice program, these videos provide an in-depth training from a successful master technician, auto tech classes, instructor-led courses offered through Napa Auto Tech e-learning, web-based e-learnings designed to target specific training topics, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos, auto tech instructor-led training, and auto tech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Grow your bottom line. Having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. In most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you will begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. Keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. One of the largest entry barriers for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Napa Auto Care has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive, comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool cart for all registered apprentices. To learn more, members can visit member.napaautocare.com. What's next? Even thinking beyond, scanner danner and stuff, like as retirement, and I'm sure that's years away. Like we're talking down the road, but what's the goal? The cabin.
We have to be part-time. It depends on what we consider a cabin too. So I might be able to convince her. We just have to be not in the middle of nowhere. For me, I want to feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere. I really want to be in the middle of nowhere, She doesn't. So I'm okay with a compromise that we'll get some property and something that maybe doesn't quite feel like the rustic cabin I want. I mean, beyond that, Matt, like that's more like stuff and things. And like you said, what's next? And so it's funny you use that word because my cousin, who was just here over the summer, he lost his wife to cancer, and he lost his mom and his stepfather within 3 months of each other, like within 2 to 3 months of each other. Lost his wife, lost his mom, lost his, only family he really knows. He's on the West Coast. He's in California. And he visited here, and when he left a note for me, because we talked about this. It was like, what's next? What's next for him? And it really hit home for me too. Is like, what's next? Like, I know that eventually this will end for me for what I'm doing right now, whether it be by choice or by force, by circumstances, by the market. I'm very vulnerable. I'm very aware of that, that my platform's electronic and online. And I know that if I say something, who knows down the road what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say. And I know that is on the horizon potentially too, and it could all go away. And so I do think about what's next. And I think it's important for all of us, not just me, that we're careful in how we live. And I think an important piece of that is debt. I don't think that we should acquire a ton of debt. I think we should live within our means. When our means change, then we're okay. I kind of look at where I'm at, and I really have a nice default, because if it all blows up, I'm just going to go either back to the classroom full time. Probably not. I think I'm done with that chapter. Not full time. I don't want to do full time. Too much policing the younger guys that don't want to learn, and I'm done with that. And I've been spoiled by my Scanner Danner community because I'm pulling from a high percentage of learners that want to learn, because hungry. I'm doing it globally. They're hungry, and I don't have that in my own personal classroom. So, but my default would be, I'm just going to go wrench at my brother's garage. He bought a garage. I'll just go fix cars again. I have a good default, and I feel uncomfortable with that,
Yeah, and I don't feel like when I'm watching those that it's a persona that you're playing, a character Scanner Danner, that you genuinely enjoy working there, being there, whether the camera was on or not. The camera's just, maybe the camera's a friend that you're conversing with.
It is, because it's my son holding it.
Yes.
So it really is, Matt. And like, he's gotten to know his uncle, like in ways that he never expected. He's gotten to know his dad in ways he's never expected. It's been amazing. I do enjoy it. It's awesome. But I mean, to go, even beyond that is like, I think underlying everything for me is being able to help other people. That's pretty special. I haven't mentioned them before, but there's a garage in Senegal, Africa, that has my Pico scope, my 4425. Before I got the 4425A, that of course Pico sent me one, that I took my 4425 and I gave it to a guy who runs a garage. He's in the US, but he goes over there and they run a garage for the locals, that it's a school/garage. So they're actually learning while they're fixing cars, and it's putting food on their table. That's where my Pico scope is. And I mean, he sent me a picture the other day of a waveform that they're doing on something using my scope. And to be able to do something like that, it's pretty amazing, and having the resources to do that's amazing. And like, honestly, that to me is like more fulfilling than anything material that you could name. And then he tells me, hey, we're really struggling, and our electric grid is really bad, and we try to work on cars, and then our power goes down and we don't have lights, and then we can't finish, and we need this generator. And I said, let's make it happen. And we did. And so there's a SD generator over there in Senegal too, that's running this shop. And so I don't know, I feel conflicted even talking about that, because I think if you're doing those kind of things like on camera or talking about them in real public situations, it kind of becomes a look at me type moment. And I don't want that, but we're talking about what's next and like what drives me. And honestly, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to look like for me in the future. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying, because the lesson I think you just gave was either individually or as a business to do things in such a way to be profitable and miserly enough, smart enough with money that you leave yourself a certain amount, whatever that may be, percentage wise or dollar amounts or whatever, that you can do the stuff you're talking about, which is, it kind of reminds me of David Ramsey type stuff, where that's kind of part of the whole deal. And I don't think it's just Dave Ramsey, but he's a popular one where part of the goal is to have enough wealth and room to be able to do nice things like random acts of kindness.
Yeah. And when you don't have all that debt hanging over you, you can. That's what you find that you can. I mean, honestly, as this exploded on us, like our first goal was to be debt free, and we are currently debt free. And I just sold probably two of my stupidest purchases was the RV and the motorcycle, and they're both gone now. And when I bought the Power Wagon, I sold the bike to buy the Power Wagon, so I didn't have any debt there either. And the house is paid off, and we don't have car payments, and I just really feel like it's important to stay that way. And exactly what you said, Matt, which is you have a moment that comes in front of you. You are more than happy to meet that need. It might be someone personal. It might be someone that a friend of a friend, and it's real, and you see that need right there in front of you, and you can meet that need. You can have any material piece in the world. I'll take that over that any day. I mean, just the way it makes you feel inside, pretty amazing.
Yeah, meet the need all on your own, or take a big chunk at it, or be a contributor to the piece, whatever that may be. One example is probably like Adam Gashy's daughter. There's so many people that contributed to that.
I don't know about that. What happened?
Well, this is quite a few years ago. It might be 10 years ago. Wow. Time sucks. I know I talk a lot about physics and stuff, but I don't care. Time sucks. And her name's Stormy. She had a heart issue with her heart. They did the fundraising, and Eric Ziegler was very involved in trying to raise money. And I'm positive that it was discussed on Carm's podcast. I'm positive. To be able to contribute. And so if you read through some of the contributions, like you recognize the names, they do it for the same reason you do. They've budgeted and all that to have the ability to make a contribution like that. And I know exactly what you're trying to say, because it sucks when you're trying to, you're not so much saying like, hey, look at me, look at what I did. Where's my pat on the back? Where's my, spotlight? It's no. If you work your numbers a little bit and tighten the belt here and tighten a little bit there, and like you say, try hard not to go into debt, that you can do these things too. And maybe it's make a contribution to a fundraiser like that, to a fellow colleague, professional colleague, or the next door neighbor. I agree with you that there's not too many feelings in the world that top that, the ability to do stuff like that.
And what's cool is you mentioned a neighbor. Like it doesn't even have to be a financial thing. I have a snowblower, and I live to a single older guy on the one side who's in his 70s with health conditions, and a widow that's 2 doors up, and then another single guy that's in probably healthier. But like I did all 3 of their driveways when we got the foot of snow the other day, and I'm out there. I just loved it. Like they didn't ask me to do it. I just did it. And like that kind of thing, you just can't put a price on that, because I really feel like I'm a man of faith too. And I know that, that my God is smiling on me in that moment. And that's all I need. I don't want their money, of course. And I don't want the praise, and I don't want any of that, just to be able to do something for someone else, to not be just so self-absorbed. Like, don't we live in a horribly self-absorbed society? You could say that about myself too. Like I think I'm in danger of being self-absorbed because of what I do. And I think I actively try to do things that aren't that on purpose. And it was just the best thing ever, Matt. I just felt really good, and I would do it over and over again.
Well, you still have your wits about you, though. You're very much aware of it, and there's so much in our society that drives us towards that. mentality and not recognizing it, but you do. And it's the reality of listening to you talk and watching you operate out in the world that there's so many that don't recognize it. It was looked up for us quick. The episode about Stormy is Remarkable Results podcast, the episode 192. Nice. Eric talks about it.
And that was a lot of the community stepped in and helped, is what it sounds like for that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. We really have a great, tight-knit community. We really do in a lot of circumstances. And you know what? Not to change the subject, but like something you said, talked about Ric Flair and being a wrestler and being an advocate for his industry. And that still resonates with me. It really does. And I want to thank you for that, because I think at times, and you know, you can of course go back and watch some of my videos, and I really harp on engineers probably more than I should. And it's really not even the engineer. Like, I'm misinformed and, you know, complaining about these flowcharts and, you know, those types of things. But that has changed some things for me. I think I'm more careful in what I say. Sometimes I say things in a heated moment and they're not accurate often. So you guys have to forgive me for those moments. But I think being an advocate for each other is important. And I think we have a good base that we are. We are advocates for each other, especially in all the Facebook groups and the same names. And, you know, we're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to make this feel better and fix these stupid cars. And
there's got to be some credit to Carm, because I think you're talking about For the Record, and it was number 50. I had been thinking about that for so long, and there was no outlet. I didn't know what to do with it.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was on point. 100%.
Just like you said, it was resonated because in general, techs shops are pretty quick to throw each other under the bus. And here was the guy who rose to the top and just so revered, not just within the world of professional wrestling. Like he might be kind of one of those stars amongst stars, in that I've caught clips just watching a basketball game. Ric Flair turns out is an avid sports fan, and he walks up behind the crew for I think it was like the NBA. So Shaq and Charles Barkley and whatnot. He walks up there and they see him, and it's 4 people turn around who are all in their 40s and 50s. Next thing you know, what are they doing? Woo, woo, uncontrollably. Woo, woo. That story,
that's cool,
resonated with me, like you said that.
Well, and you sharing that resonated with me. It was like, how often have I thrown a fellow ignition or garage under the bus prematurely when I shouldn't have? And I got my ass handed to me by an 86 Mustang. An 86 Mustang. Why does that even happen? And I don't know. That's our next series that we're producing. So matter if it
would that have been TBI yet, or was that still carbureted?
No, it was a 5.0 multi-port with your EC4 system. It was a bad ignition module, Matt. It was 4 different bad ignition modules. And when you have that and you understand the system, it's coming up. I don't know when this is going to be produced compared to that. And anyway, so some people are going to know the end of it. It's going to be a multi-part series because I share all of it. But anyway, the tie-in there is it came from a garage. So the car died on him. It had a new distributor put in it. So it has a new pickup and new module. And then the car has a real bad misfire. And that's really where it started. And we were very, very careful not to throw this garage under the bus. And I'm glad that we did not, because it was not this garage's fault. If they would have gotten a good part, that's where it started from. If they would have gotten a good part, we would have never even saw the car. And then I ran in circles because, it's a new distributor, it's a new module. And then my brother throws a module in it, and that didn't fix it. It's the same exact problem. How do you have 2 modules dropping coil control, like intermittent coil control, just dropping it out, just randomly? Like, why? There's no way that that's another bad module. And ultimately 2 more modules later before, and you know where we got the last one?
I want to say
the last module that fixed it. No, the dealer don't make them anymore. They don't make them anymore. So it's different now. You're working on 86. You're not calling the dealer and getting a TFI ignition module. You're just not. It was Napa. Napa is the one that. It was Napa. Napa part. when I said that earlier, that was not me exaggerating. It was absolutely, who I deal with and who we like to deal with. And we've seen this before. I mean, sure, I've also, had an Eklund brand purge valve that, didn't meet standards on a Hyundai and was still setting evap leak codes too. So nobody's perfect, but it was the Napa module that fixed it. Part 1's me running in circles. Let's see. Part 2 is the new module fixed it for like 5 seconds and then did it again. And then we thought it was a connector problem. Yep. And it wasn't. You know how you have nail pins inside. The pigtails and I'm wiggling the pigtail and it's stalling, but I can't make it consistent. So then in between that, then part 3 is my brother fixes it off camera by putting an Napa part in it, and I come back and film the after and the good waveforms, and we talk about it. And so but dude, got my freaking ass kicked by an E4 Mustang.
Did it have the TFI? Was that mounted to the distributor, or was it the one mounted? Okay.
Yep. The one mounted to the distributor. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 1986, this is a good problem. It's got good diagnostics, good diagnostic process needed. Yeah. And it's a cluster just because of bad new parts.
Yeah.
Are you going to get a bunch of crap from the peanut gallery about putting up videos on 1986s?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, not a bunch, but I do hear that. I don't worry too much about that. To those who know, it really doesn't matter, in my opinion, it doesn't matter year, make, or model of the car on certain processes. And you can learn the same thing on that 86 Mustang as far as coil control goes, where you have a coil primary dropping out, and then you're thinking about, okay, is it an input problem? Is it a wiring problem? Or is it the computer's control of this? Or in this case, is the computer even in control of this transistor? And it's not, by the way, with the spout connector unplugged, the module does everything. And so that approach would be no different than if you were working on a 2020 model year coil unplugged vehicle and you have no coil control on that. You're doing the exact same thing. It's no different. In fact, I was doing a blower motor issue and I filmed it on my Power Wagon, 78 Power Wagon with a blower motor that's running in low speeds. And I got voltage drop problems all over the harness. And I'm doing the same procedures on this 78 Power Wagon blower motor that I would be doing on an air ride suspension on a Navigator. It's really, honestly, it's the same thing. And so I guess the short answer is yes, I get some flack. Why aren't you touching some newer stuff? And I do, it just takes me a longer time to see them now. That's all.
That's not what always breaks. The old stuff breaks in some of the most wildest ways, either through time, like in your case with the corrosion and whatnot, or somebody else has already been in there over the years, mechanics, technicians over the years being in and out to doing whatever, not saying they're like the direct cause that it was at shop A and now it's at shop B and shop A broke it. No, shop A, B, C, D, and E have serviced the vehicle for 20 years and now it's got an issue that, okay, ultimately maybe it caused by them, but it took 20 years, 15 years to manifest itself. And it's not like the service information for the 1986 Mustang was so much better. Do you have a PCED sitting there to reference and the Ford manual?
No, I honestly, because I've worked on, that's what's nice about working on the older stuff too. For those of us who've been in the field for a long time is I really didn't even need the service info. I knew exactly what I was dealing with. I knew the top wire was the PIP wire. I knew where the spout wire was. I know the power wire because it's the same power wire that's feeding the coil. It's the same color. And I knew they were shared, so honestly, my brother had a diagram up, but I hardly used it on that. I knew the system and I still got my ass kicked by it. So,
well, I mean, and if you're not familiar with the terms PIP, spout, you got to go look it up. You got to go figure it out.
Yeah.
And then the Hall effect inside the distributor and connects directly to the TIF module or the ignition control module. And sometimes you put jumper wires in between the Hall effect and the...
I did. That was part 2. Nice. That was part 2. I knew it was a processed PIP signal and I didn't remember if it was the signal directly wired into the Hall effect or if it was conditioned first before it was sent out. And what I learned with putting jumpers in, because now I'm measuring directly, it was an identical signal to what I'm seeing on the top pip wire external to the module. And I didn't realize that. I guess I thought it wasn't exactly the same because I didn't expect to see the little clip mark of the spout, when timing's taking place from the PCM. I didn't expect to see the clipping on the actual Hall effect signal itself, and it is there. I was surprised to see that. And nowhere in that video did I talk about it. So this is actually nice that we're talking about it right now, although most people have no idea what we're talking about, but that's okay.
Well, they assume I know what I'm talking about, but
that video is coming out. We'll see how that's received, but I'm glad you brought up older vehicles. I think that it's important to have a good perspective. And, as I in my classes over the years and recorded everything, I started recording like in 2012. So of course, a lot of the case studies I might be using to tie all of the subject I'm trying to cover. Now it's an older case study, and some people might come and look at that and be like, that's older stuff. He's not teaching the newer stuff, and that couldn't be further from the truth, in my opinion. It's not just my opinion. I see people all the time that go through what I'm offering, and they're succeeding greatly in our field working on the newer systems. And of course, I do have newer stuff there too. I get my ass handed to me on a CAN network issues too. But, to be honest with you, like that's no different from what I've found as far as any other random intermittent open circuit. It's just as frustrating. So same approach, same process. You just need some bit of foundational stuff to help you, and then you're off and you're doing the same thing that you've always done, on a 2018 Duramax that, I got a 5-part series on my channel, and it ultimately was an open in the junction block, an intermittent open in the junction block, like above where your foot is. Like, catching it, duplicating it was key, just like any other open circuit. You can have a code, you have all this direction and path, but if it's not doing it when you're looking at it, good luck. There is no magic wand.
Yeah, a solenoid is still a solenoid. A VR sensor is still a VRS sensor. It doesn't matter what year it's in. And arguably with the 86, your scan data was either non-existent, very, very limited, extremely slow. Right, extremely slow.
Right.
Unless maybe you had an NGS, and then you could cut PID numbers down and got the speed up, refresh rate up. But generally, very limited. I don't know if you had a breakout box installed and you're using that.
I did not.
Checking pins 40 and 60 for ground. And boy, if we think about it, I could probably remember 56. Is it 26 and 56 for power? That doesn't sound right.
No, I think you were right on 40 and 60. I remember that.
40 and 60 are ground for sure.
Ends. Yeah.
I think 29 was O2 sensor. Boy, oh boy, it's been a long time since I've had to put a breakout box in. I got two EEC4s, and then I got an EEC5 because that's what you need.
I remember seeing that in a flow chart the first time. It's like install Bob. I'm like, who's Bob? I don't know what
Bob
what is Bob.
Yeah.
And then I was made fun of Ford with their boo switch. What's a boo switch? Oh, break on off switch. Yep. Oh, thanks, Ford. That's what I say to Ford fuse boxes too. Boo. Like, come on, mark your fuse box. Not with numbers. Tell me what that fuse is. For sure. And then, I get the bonus, and I just said this in my last video too with my brother. So, he bought the shop. And so what he'll do, he gets these basket cases in, and he don't want to work on them. And he knows that I'll spend the time and do it because I want a good video out of it. So it doesn't matter. And so then I get all Danner. That's what I call him, is my brother. I call him by his last name. I get all Danner's crap work, but that's okay. It works out for both of us.
What have you seen as an evolution, or have you seen any changes in the training environment itself? How techs want to be trained or are getting their training from back when you started to now, or their preferred means of getting it?
Oh, man. It changed on me, I guess, as I was doing it. I wasn't really following another instructor to put this stuff out there the way that I was. And I never intended it to be anything but for my personal students. But what I've seen, I think we already touched on it, is a problem in our field, Matt, with the right people. And it really stems from even when I was a kid and 7th and 8th grade, which would have been in the 80s, they start steering you toward college. It was like all you heard about in school was like, what college are you going to? And so we've kind of generation or two or three away from the trades because, you're just a grease monkey. That's, the persona that still exists. And I think that's part of it. But unfortunately, what that means is with my personal students, I really could work with 1 out of 10, Matt, 1 out of 10, maybe 2 out of 20. If I'm lucky, I get a class of 2 out of 10 that I can work with. And I say work with as far as not intelligence. I'm not talking about intelligence when I say that, but a certain type of mind. There has to be a certain mindset that you have to possess that you can't be taught. And I believe that I'll use my wife as an example. She is super smart, but hates variables. And what I do, everything's a variable. And so it makes her mind uncomfortable. She doesn't want to dwell there. And if your mind's uncomfortable and doesn't want to dwell there, then you're never going to be good at it. And so then we just push this type into the field because they don't have direction or anything else. And like, they're not fixing the cars. Like I said, what I've seen drawing from an online class now is it made me like my own personal class less. It should be the opposite, but it's not. It's like I can put this video out here to the global class and they eat it up, come back into my class and I'm talking about it. And this guy's on his phone and this girl's not paying attention. And, this guy's sleeping and this guy comes in late, missed the whole lecture. And he's like, what I missed? And I'm talking for like 50 minutes. And I'm like, everything. I don't know. So I don't know that I answered your question. I'm not sure, but that's what I see. Like the evolution of training is the internet's changed the game for us. I think it has tremendously. And it started with you and I back at IAtn. I got in touch with some techs over the planet. And I'm like, who are these guys? I thought I knew what I was talking about. And I really don't. And then we all experience that on a daily basis. We're like watching each other and we're learning and we're like, holy cow, that's awesome. Like I never knew that. And like information is just transferring so fast now. So that's a big part. We
were so lucky though. We got in there at such a good time because
we really did.
IAtn was not around as that long. So it was still a concentration of those that were just extremely passionate about doing what they did and finding others that could challenge them or measure themselves against and converse. Yeah. And then you find out that there's these people out there that understand vehicles in general or certain systems on cars on a level you didn't even know existed really. And then to be able to interact with them a little bit, especially in the chat room. And then even in the forums and reading those forums and figuring out the names to follow. And even though there wasn't like a follow function, you could seek out, you knew which names to click on. If somebody responded to something, you knew who to click on.
That's like you don't know that. I stalk you still.
I don't know why you would waste your time.
I do. If there's something going on and it's a conversation, I definitely want to hear what Matt has to say.
It's probably sarcastic and just looking to get a rise out of somebody.
Nah.
We got in such a good time. And then it got promoted and understandably so, but then it gets diluted and then you kind of have a better reflection of society. And that's what it is. It became a better reflection of society and it became a different type of resource, more of that just-in-time type of resource. That, like, I think what you're saying with the internet is now there's so much stuff just in time. Like, I don't need to know how this works. I just need to know the right keywords or the right way to search that'll take me to either a forum, enthusiast forum, a YouTube video shows me how to do it or what to do. Playing the statistics or the probabilities game, they're going to win. They're going to win a lot.
Yeah.
And,
and then some of them too are taking it to the next level. They're doing that and then they're figuring out in hindsight what the problem was. So they'll go one step further and then they put themselves out there as the expert.
Yep.
And so I see that too. And it like makes me like cringe. I'm like, come on. Like maybe it's my own ego too, but I refuse to do that. I would rather fumble around and look stupid on camera and have someone come in the comments, be like, X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, well, yeah, I did show you that. It just took me a while to get there, but I figured it out on my own. I wasn't doing a Google search and watching somebody else fix it and then just shoot my own video and say, look how cool I am. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. That intellectual
that irritates me. It irritates me, Matt.
I don't even know how to protect it. A lot of references back to the mothership with remarkable results, but you and I were in a couple of podcasts talking about that. Like I was arguing that certain repercussions of the YouTube type stuff, not just YouTube, but any platform, YouTube ultimately is a hosting platform, but doing exactly like you're saying. And your 1 in 10 number, that resonates with me because thinking back to my 2-year, there's more than 20 of us in there, but I'm clicking through all the people that I was in class with or graduated with in school with. None of them fixed cars. They got out in there and they couldn't hack it. And then my 3rd year, quite a few, it was less, but it's probably right with that number, 1 in 10. I think there's really 2 of us out of, 15, 20 that aren't in cars anymore.
That's a shame. And honestly, that extends to the garages that can actually troubleshoot. I think the ratio is the same. No wonder the customers don't trust us. If 9 out of 10 shops are throwing parts at the car, those same 9 out of 10 that aren't troubleshooting, they're just reading codes and changing a part that the parts stores do for free. Then we've created, it's not just we can't just point our finger at the parts stores because 9 out of the 10 garages are doing the same thing, but they're charging $120 to hook up their scanner and say, oh, it needs this part. And if you're only 50 to 60% right, which may be the ratio, if you can read a code and change a part, I don't know, is the number that high, Matt? Maybe 50, 60% ratio? That's horrible. Take a written test and get a 50 on it. That's a failing grade. It shouldn't be that ratio. It should be, you're missing 2 out of 100. You're missing 3 out of 100. Even 1 in 10, I think, is too many as far as missing a call. You got to be diligent, and people the garages aren't doing it, and the customers are frustrated. So don't want to pay because when they find a shop that actually does proper diagnostics, they don't want to pay because they've been tainted by all the other garages. And it goes further. One more, instructors.
Yep.
Same ratio. 1 out of 10, Matt. I've been teaching long enough, 20 years, to see it. We have a good ratio at Rosedale Tech, but I've seen enough that the ratio is the same all the way through the field. It's really unfortunate.
I'm scared your number's even optimistic because
it might
there's been a few, there's been a few things, functions I've been to with instructors from high school and college that the fire's gone. And I don't know if the fire was taken from them. I don't, you would know far, far better than I would the environment.
It was never there for those. It was never there. Those ones were just like, they figured they're going to go teach because it'd be some cushy job and they're tired of getting greasy and dirty and they just want to do something different. Those are the ones that if there isn't some passion for the field, then you have no business being in the classroom. I have seen it dwindle too over time, but with a good instructor and over time, they become cranky. But I think for the most part, they just never had it. They don't belong in the classroom.
Yeah. I don't really remember in college, Tech's college, people walking in late. I mean, if they did, it was me. I don't.
Me too.
Seriously, not bragging. It was me. Of course, there weren't cell phones, so the distractions were minimal. And everybody was there when the bell. Well, I don't remember a bell. Actually, we didn't have a bell, but the class started at 8 a.m. Pretty much everybody was there. If they weren't paying attention, they were staring at the ceiling or reading ahead in the book or whatever. I could see over time, especially, that you're trying to win the attention because you're competing for the attention to teach them this, to show them how to go out and, what's turning into a really darn good career maybe not turning into, it's been a really good career, but I think as of late, like the last 5-7 years, it seems like incomes are starting to go up. Benefits packages are going up. We're starting to get treated more and more like our other skilled trade contemporaries and stuff like that.
Right.
You would start thinking so poorly of the students and people coming in the future. Just, I've battled through this year and one student or two students that shows some promise, but the rest, what a waste of time.
I know.
And
that's the, you know what?
You got the next crop coming in and you're like, I wonder if I can predict which two will be successful.
I usually within the first week of class, I already know who they are. So,
I have friends that do training and they repeat the same class multiple times throughout the year or years. And they tell me
every 8 weeks.
They tell me that after presenting it X amount of times is when you actually really know your material. And I don't know that I've ever presented anything 3 times in a row or 2 times in a row. I don't know if I could.
I would say the class that I taught, and it took me, probably, I get that question sometimes is, hey, when are you going to write another book? And I'm like, never, because the book that I wrote was like, I worked on that for 10 years teaching that same subject where I'm talking about a specific piece and area and system on a car. And I have maybe a picture and a case study to go with it to emphasize the topic. And that I probably taught that same concept 100 times before I really felt like it was perfect. Not perfect, but like it was the perfect piece to use to emphasize that point, and I'm not going to change it. And then when I produced this thing in like 2011 is the book is, and then I started teaching on the book is like, I just can't duplicate that again because I had 10 years off camera to practice for what you see the next 10 years on camera. Does that make sense? Like people think I just can't I just can't recreate it. Oh, I take that back. I could recreate it, Matt, but it would cost me my family and I'm not willing to do it.
Yep.
It would. It absolutely hands down would cost me my family because I would need to go back full time and teach every day and build another one. And then you know how it is. You write a class and then you talk about something that you wrote and then somebody asks you a question and you're like, oh, I didn't think of that. And then that becomes part of your next class, that question that you didn't think about, that now you're addressing that question. And before you know it, then you got people that are watching your classes and they're like, how did you read my mind like that? Because they're asking that same question and it isn't reading minds. It's I've had that question before. I know what you're going to ask me here and it's X, Y, and Z and there's your answer. And you know how many years it takes to do that? Like I can't duplicate it and I'm not willing to lose my family to duplicate it. So I just, I'll take what I have. I'm comfortable with what I have. I know I can, teach a guy that knows nothing and bring him in if he's hungry and build a foundation and, open the cage door, and fly off, little birdie, go do your thing. That's kind of my viewpoint of it now. And I'll film the case studies as they go and I'll write an updated class here and there as I go. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. The foundation's there and let's let it ride.
Yeah. It's one of those books everybody should have as a professional.
As a newbie, just know it was written for newbies, though. It really was. It was written for someone who knows nothing about any of this stuff and wants to learn about it. It doesn't have to be a new technician, but a new guy to troubleshooting. You never were good at electronics, and maybe you've been in the field for 20 years even, too. It's good for those guys, but it was written. The students that I would have at school would be very, very green. So it was written with that kind of mentality in mind. Over the years, with the other lectures and things, and I bring some other stuff in to help the guys that maybe are in the field. Or honestly, what that boiled down to is I just got tired of teaching the same thing, so I wanted to advance it a little more. So I'm bombarding these new students with stuff that I probably shouldn't be. That's kind of what happened over the years, but that's okay too.
Yeah, my copy.
Go back and press pause and rewind.
Yeah. My copy is on a bookshelf at work sitting next to my internal combustion engine fundamentals by John Haywood.
I didn't know you had one, Matt. Thank you.
I didn't put it in alphabetical.
Did Carlos give it
on the other side?
Did Carlos give it to you?
Yeah, after I paid him for it.
Okay, good. You paid for it?
Yeah, I was trying to help you with your Power Wagon way back when.
That's awesome. I love those guys, man. Good story we'll have for another time with those guys and the history with me. Pretty awesome. Way before Scanner Danner, I got to know those guys. But it was the guru classes I took. Jim Linder, and I was exposed to those guys. So
what year did you go?
2002 to 2004, in that range. I was there for Guru 1, and then I did Guru 4, which was the Pico class. But the Guru 1, I was with Randy Dillman and John Thornton were the two instructors for the week. And man, that was the most impactful, other than my Dan Spitko, the guy I talked about who taught me at Rosedale. Those two guys in that particular class changed direction for me. For sure.
We must have just missed each other because I went probably 2004. Yeah, Randy opens it, the electrical and some lab scope stuff. Yep. And then John comes in and Jim does a deal about injectors and fuel pumps. And you get the lab with Doug and and Greg and the injector lab. And Guru 4, were you on? You must have been in maybe one of the very first ones. Probably it was Craig, who's like the big wig, who's the big wig with Pico now. Craig Schoenberger.
That's how I got to know Craig. We have some history there too, so it's pretty cool. It must have been the first one. I think it was. And then I upgraded my 80. It was like 212. It was a 2-channel that was DC or AC powered. You had to plug it into the wall.
Yeah, the ADC 212. You maybe had a 3 or a 50, or there was a 100, but most people got the 3s.
I traded it in for a 4-channel, and that's how I got to know Carlos, because I spoke with him on the phone. And he's like, "Oh, we'll trade that in for you." And they gave me a great deal on a 4-channel, and I just couldn't believe this company. I've had this scope for 2 years, but they were willing to trade it in for me, and this company, AES Wave. And how cool is that? Like, come full circle, and all these years later, like AES Wave and they are the exclusive provider of my paper book, and I plug them all the time because I just know the type of people that they are, and just an amazing family, and to be partnered with them too with this grant we're doing. I think I don't want to talk too much on that, but I mean it's really about our community. And so how as a creator, on social media, you have companies that they want to partner with you, and then you earn, affiliate revenue. If I plug a company in a tool, then, you get percentage of sales if it's directed through your link and that kind of stuff. And so what Carlos and I decided to do is to take any affiliate revenue that I would earn through them and pull it out, just save it. When I approached Carlos about this, I was like, I just want to do this with it, Carlos. Can you help me make that happen? So instead of paying me, can I just direct people to you, and we can give it out a little bit at a time to technicians in need, guys starting out? And Carlos is like, I'll do you one better. He said, I'll match yours dollar for dollar. Whatever you give, I'll give too. And so how cool is that? I mean, I gave a guy in Zimbabwe like a $200 SD grant that ended up being $400, and he bought stuff from AES Wave, and we shipped it to Zimbabwe. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool. Yeah, so
they make it so easy, right? It's just, they're going to take care of the customer, and then they support the profession. They're at the trade shows. Yep. They're sponsoring content or instructors to deliver quality education. Wow, this has been great.
For sure.
Would you do this again? Because
absolutely.
Wow, talking about IAtn and Linders, man, I could sit and talk to you about Linders for another hour.
For sure.
And AES Wave.
Absolutely. We need to do that. AES deserves it. We should do an AES Wave podcast. And
I agree.
Let's talk about some stories about that. I have some other stuff to share too that I didn't share tonight with Carlos and what he's meant to me too. So
let's do it.
Huge impact that he has had on my career path and where I'm at right now is a huge part. In large part was with some advice from Carlos years and years ago. Indebted forever to those guys.
Thank you very much, Paul, for joining me. And
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I appreciate this. I appreciate your friendship. I love just our conversations that have jack and squat to do with cars or technology. Just so glad somehow, some way we got to get to know each other virtually and then in real life.
Me too, man. Me too. We got a lot in common, Matt. So I look forward to, what the future holds for us both and doing this again and talk soon.
Yeah, we'll talk to you very soon.
You've been listening to Matt Fonslow, diagnosing the aftermarket A to Z on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Matt on your favorite listening app. He's very interested in what you have to say. Let him know what you'd like him to cover and come on the show. Matt is all for advancing the aftermarket. Find Matt Fonslow on social media and connect or on aftermarketradionetwork.com.